Hey ladies, how's it going? Can you guys hear me? Going. Okay. Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. It's almost Saturday. Okay, perfect. Hello. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So much to talk about, right? Well, so the topic today is on loneliness in 2022. So I'm just going to get right into today's live. Um, you know, we're going to be talking about how women are happier single in 2022, loneliness in 2022 in general. But if you guys have been on social media today, yesterday, there has been an article that has been circling around. I posted it on my Instagram story, right? And this article talks about the rise of lonely single men. And it's written by a man who's a psychologist. And the man who wrote this article, um, he has a lot of experience. He was in the military, so he was a family psychologist for, the military and all of that. And then once he got out, he started doing his own type of couples therapy, and he has a charity and things like that. So this man who wrote this article is very much so experienced and well versed in, what he's talking about. Let me see what you guys are saying. Moonchild says, well, according to the article that just came up, men are the lonely and desperate ones, while our high standards are protecting us for our heartache. So yes, women, it's okay to be single. Yeah, that article. So we're going to get into that article. That's a fact. We're going to get into this article. For those of you who haven't read it yet, but I have said this before on my channel, y'all, that men are indeed a fact the most single that they've ever been, period. That men are technically, and also there's other research that dictates that men are the least likely to get into relationships compared to women. So just because you're a woman, you already have a higher chance of getting into a relationship compared to a man. It's harder for men to get into relationships. And men are also the most, miserable that they are. Testosterone, I'm sorry if there's a lot of background noise. They're doing landscaping and stuff at my house. It's really annoying. But testosterone overall in society has went down amongst men, in general, and it's been going down over the past few years or couple of decades. No one really knows why. They think it's maybe the food. Obviously, lifestyle changes in society. They're blaming social media, video games, whatever. But testosterone has overall gone down in men, and there is a significant need for true, real masculinity in society. And ladies, this is amongst men of all races, of all income levels. This isn't like a black issue, a white issue, or whatever. This is an overall issue with men. Okay, so it's interesting how things are starting to change. Women are indeed the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, particularly Black women are, right? And women are majority of the ones in college. Women do hold more jobs than men. However, men currently are still making more money than women across the board. But that is only because even though women hold more jobs than men do, the jobs that men hold are higher paying. So we have more male doctors, we have more male attorneys, we have more male corporate executives, we have more men working in finance. So therefore, they are taking up all those high earning jobs, but women are indeed have more jobs in general. So there's just more women just in the workforce than men. But we currently aren't making more money than men, but that is also starting to change. Like the gender wage gap is slowly closing. And I think amongst certain races it has closed. I know in the Black community with Black people, the gender wage gap is equal. Now, according to, the last quarter of earnings amongst Black people, Black men and women currently make the same amount of money. So it's the gender wage gap has closed amongst Black people for sure. But overall, it's almost closed. It's not fully closed. Hold on. Okay. So what else are you guys are saying? Giovanna says, I do believe that women are happier single. This is a fact. I mean, there is research to prove that women are happier single. On my channel, for me, I'm traditional and I'm more on the conservative side. So I do promote marriage, especially for Black women. I know a lot of Black women on here are saying marriage is something that Black women shouldn't be focused on. Respectfully, I'm going to have to disagree with that. I think that Black women have already done so much on their own. I do believe if they have the right man by their side, they can do even better. They can be able to rest, relax, and nurture with the right man by their side. Keyword, with the right man. So I don't think anyone would really disagree with that. But I do understand some of the Black women who are criticizing marriage, saying it's not a good deal for Black women, but it's only not a good deal if you don't have a man that is able to protect, provide in some kind of way, or just offer something, make it easier. I don't think it's a good idea to be saying Black women shouldn't want to get married. Period. Like I don't think that's a good idea, my personal opinion, but you know. Okay, so let me share my screen and share this article with y'all so that we can just get into it. And I'm definitely going to drop the link because I want to hear what you ladies have to say. I haven't spoken to you guys in a while, but let's get into this article cuz the way these men on these internet streets are talking, like they have all of these options and they hold the key and access to marriage. Now, what I will say to that little piece is women aren't going to collectively go around proposing to men in mass. That is something that men do, and that is a way that women are going to be able to get access to a proposal as if a man does it, but you still have the power to say yes. A marriage still doesn't happen if you don't tell him yes, whether he proposes or not. So keep that in mind. But, these guys are adamant on talking about all the options that they have. And, all the women that are after them and just how much how much time they have. And it's just like, where is this time at? Because according to all of the research, the data, the studies, the professionals, aka reality, men are not cutting it the way that they think they are or should be in the area of relationships. This is why there is a growing the male voice has grown so much online with the manosphere, with these online pickup artist gurus, and nothing is really centered. Out of all the videos I've heard from men over the past year and a half of me being on YouTube, I came on YouTube like what, 2020. I have heard so many videos from so many different men on their expectations and their desires when it comes to women and relationships and family. And it just doesn't add up. It's not reality. It's sensationalism. It's just babble. It's just babble. A lot of these guys have no clue how women work. A lot of these guys choose the wrong types of women, right? There's a lot of men on here. I'm sorry to say this, I just have to keep it real. But there's a lot of men on here that are technically Captain Save-A-Hos. They don't want to actually start a family. They want to save women that have already chosen their life. And I'm not trying to judge or shame those women. They choose what they want to do. But you can't expect a woman who wants to sign up for OnlyFans and post explicit pictures and post pictures of herself and expect her to do that one day and then the next day come home to you as a Betty Crocker. That's insane. And so when they have these girls who have these OnlyFans accounts on their platforms trying to tell them about traditionalism and really conservatism, they're looking at you, they're looking at those guys like they're retarded because like it's not rocket science. Every woman, no matter her age, every woman knows the Betty Crocker lifestyle, okay? It's not news to us. We don't need to be schooled and educated by men of all people, I'm sorry, on how to be a traditional woman. We all know what it means to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. We all know what that is. We don't need to be schooled and taught how to do so. At this point, it's a choice. Do you want to be quite literally that woman who is a housewife, who is pregnant and with her husband? Or do you want to be that woman who is after her career? Or do you want to be that woman who works in the entertainment industry and all things that come with that as well? The choice truly is up to you. And when these men get on the internet and and participate in babble, trying to talk women into changing their lifestyle, keep in mind it's just talking. There's no laws being done, right? There's no resources being put out in the community. There's nothing going on of that sort. It's all online babble. It's all talks. There's no manhood talks. It's all centered on how to get women or talking to women to make them easier to get. It's either one or the other in this space. And this is truly the result. This is true. And that is the result of them from being lonely. That's the result of them being lonely. There is no female Kevin Samuels, okay? There is no female, what's his name? Andrew Tate. I'm going to talk about him in later lives because he's like this new rising um pickup artist guru or whatever that a lot of men, a lot of non-black men in particular are starting to cling on to. I mean, an insane amount. And now it's non-black women who are having a problem with the red pill manosphere space. It used to be a Kevin Samuels black people thing. Now the Kevin Samuels is gone. There's like a new guy on the scene, and he's really making a ruckus on these internet streets. He's on TikTok saying all types of crazy crap as a 35-year-old man, keeps talking about sleeping with women from high school, knowing the data will tell you that women globally have no desire, over like 95% of the time, have no desire to sleep or let alone marry a man who is 35 years old and up. No 18 to 19-year-old girl is that is not a goal of them majority of the time nationwide, globally even. So all of these crazy things that are being said on the internet is quite literally and truly a result of men being lonely and single as heck. And they are trying to talk their way out of this misery. And then they're trying to talk their way out of women to be more easier. They're trying to talk women out of their panties. They're trying to tell y'all to go on dates. And after knowing a man for like 72 hours, if you want to prove you like him, you need to have sex, aka risk getting pregnant, aka risk getting an STD, aka, get a yeast infection and have reoccurring yeast infections the rest of your life. That happens to a lot of women. It just takes one dirty guy who is having sex all over town. It just takes one guy that you sleep with, and can never just not get bacterial vaginosis ever again. You'll always have a reoccurring infection at the slightest thing. Like I believe that these like if you are having sex, that sex can knock off your balances for life. I mean, you can try to take medicine but it's like one little thing and it's forever imbalanced, and it's like your body changes its anatomy. Like the female body is very delicate, especially when it comes to sex. And these men are talking like like it's nothing. Like it's nothing for you, but for us women, it's everything. Your body is your greatest value. And these lonely single men are really causing an issue with women making that decision for themselves. They're causing that issue by saying all the things that they require, all the things that they expect, all of these standards and how they want women to be and what we should do, and trying to talk their way into controlling our panties. It's just like, it's just insane. If the woman doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. There's no tactics you can say online, there's no manipulations that you can do. It's not like that in 2022 anymore. Women have the power to now leave. Women have the power to now not ever want to get married or not ever want to have kids. Women have the power to have a child at 45, the same type of, and have a child that is the same, at the same level of health as the child who was born from a woman at 25. It doesn't, like there's no real parameters or stipulations in society today around women um for them to do what they want. Like women can choose to be traditional or they don't have to. I choose to be traditional. My traditionalism is a choice. I can't sit here and be, you know, living in this fantasy reality that I have to live like it's 1950. I mean, I technically don't live like it's 1950 even, but I have traditional views and values, but I choose to uphold these views. There's another woman who doesn't. And there's another woman who currently does it, but maybe she will in 10 years. Women have that option now. So I choose to hold spaces for women who think traditionally, who have these values of gender roles, who believe and advocate, or not advocate, but believe and desire masculine men while being feminine themselves. That's my area. But things like this and just other things that I see, they do have an effect in society in general. And when men want to claim that they're traditional, but have all these unrealistic, really non traditional standards and expectations of women, this is the results that they get: singleness, loneliness. There are no parameters in society to make women do what men say. There just isn't. I'm sorry. If you want to submit to your man, ladies, that's going to be your choice. That's going to be your choice, and it's going to be based off of your beliefs and your values. Okay, that just is what it is. If you want a relationship where you don't submit and you guys are both equally like doing things together, that's also your choice. You can also do that. There's no like law, there's no anything in society that's going to tell you that's impossible or that's not a good thing for you to do. But men online will, if you let them tell it, they will make it seem like you have to do it. They will make it seem like you must submit. There are men on here talking about you need to submit to random men off the street that you don't even know. And that's crazy. That's not even, as a Christian woman, that's not even in the Bible. You are to submit to your husband. Like, you're not supposed to submit to the guy who's mowing the lawn. That's not who you're supposed to, just because he's a man. Like, absolutely not. Okay, I kind of just totally went on like a ramble. But let's get into the article. Let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, so this is the article. The Rise of Lonely Single Men, written by Greg Matos, and this just came out a few days ago, like 2 days ago, August 9th. So this is recent. Key points: dating opportunities for heterosexual men are diminishing as healthy relationship standards change. Men represent approximately 62% of dating app users, lowering their chances for matches. Men need to address skills deficits to meet healthier relationship expectations. So I think this last key point is pretty important, because what are they telling each other on these spaces? To just get their money up and be in the gym, when literally that is not enough to sustain a long-term relationship. That may be enough to attract certain women if you have a nice body and you have money, but if you don't have the emotional, mental, and I'd say even for some women, spiritual wellness, then it's not going to hit it. You're not going to be able to maintain a relationship. And that is kind of why I tend to question men who are basically within that they meet that high value definition that the men place, right? They are into their 30s, they are educated, they don't have no kids, they've never been married, they have all this money and they have a nice car and all these things, and they claim themselves that they want to have children, that they want to be married, that they're dating for marriage, that they're looking for a feminine woman, right? And that they're traditional, but they're still like, they're not married. Like, there are guys who will say that they want a relationship, want marriage and all this stuff, but they are actively living like the bachelor playboy type of lifestyle. Like, they're not really looking for a wife at all. They're just, they're just playing around, and that is a real thing as well. I read in another article, that I meant to, I'm going to try to find it and post it on my on my channel, but there is a thing that men are going through as well called prolonged adolescence, where men are growing up to be fully grown, capable adult males, but they are still living life like they're 18 to 21 as like 35-year-olds. So that's a real thing. Prolonged adolescence is a real thing that's happening. And it's playing a key role into why men can't develop these important skills for a relationship. But I'm going to read on. It says younger and middle aged men are the loneliest they've ever been in generations, and it's probably going to get worse. This is not my typical rosy view of relationships, but a reality nonetheless. Over the last 30 years, men have become a larger portion of that growing group of long term single people. And while you don't actually need to be in a relationship to be happy, men typically are happier and healthier when partnered. Here are three broad trends in the relationship landscape that suggest heterosexual men are in for a rough road ahead. So, this isn't news to me, right? We showed you guys plenty of stats that will tell you and confirm to you that men are the most single, the most loneliest, that women are actually happy single right now. Even in, I would like to see the updated stats on how married women are today, because I have heard other stats that are saying that married couples in general are a lot more happier than, or like newlywed married couples are happier today in general versus newlywed couples from 20 years ago. And they are blaming this on newlywed couples today have waited to get married, meaning they have finished school, they've made it in their careers, they've paid off debt, or they've been able to live their life a little bit before marriage. Therefore, when they finally settle down and decide to marry, it's actually during a genuinely a good time in their life where they're really wanting a partner. So they're claiming that marriages, newly wedded couples are lasting longer than the 5 year mark. Compared to newly wedded couples 20 years ago, those couples were more likely to divorce within the first 5 years than newlywed couples today who have made it past the first 5 years. So I would like to see those updated stats on married women today who have probably waited for marriage, who got themselves together, who healed and traveled and did all these things and then got married. And I'd like to see their, level of happiness, because I think it does make a difference. Did it pause? Can you guys still hear me? Is it still working? Okay, it's working on my end. Okay, so for the first point, it says here dating apps. Whether you are just starting to date or you're recently divorced and dating again, dating apps are a huge driver of new romantic connections in the United States. The only problem is that upwards of 62% of users are men, and many women are overwhelmed with how many options they have. Competition in online dating is fierce, and lucky in person chance encounters with dreamy partners are rarer than ever. Interesting. I do think that dating apps play a key role um, in how dating is right now. I do. When I go on a dating app, I get so many matches. So many. It's insane. I don't even know I don't even know where to start. I'm currently on Bumble right now, and I kid you not, I have about 1100 likes from men that I don't even know within 50 miles from me. 1100, well, 1100 plus signs. So I don't know exactly how many, but it's over 1100. And that's a lot. That's a lot of men to have to go through their profiles and chat with. That's so many. And currently in my chat box, I don't know, I think I have about 20 guys in there just kind of sitting in there that I can chat with at the moment. So, Yeah, it's a lot when I go on a dating app, and this is the experience of my girlfriends easily. I mean, guaranteed for as a woman, you can get at least over 100 likes and still 100. I mean, I know I just said I got 1100, but it's still just getting 100 or more is a lot. That's a lot of guys that are kind of in a way interested enough to talk to you and meet up with you and seeing what happens from there. Like, obviously, there are a good chunk of those men who just want to hook up, of course, but you still just never know. Some of these guys want to hook up, and then some are also open to having more. And that's a lot of men that are just, in one way, shape, or form, just available for whatever. That's a lot of guys. And it is definitely overwhelming. Okay, the second point here, relationship standards. With so many options, it's not surprising that women are increasingly selective. I do a live TikTok show, a Better Love project, and speak with hundreds of audience members every week. I hear recurring dating themes from women between the ages of 25 and 45. They prefer men who are emotionally available, good communicators, and share similar values. Oh my gosh. This last sentence right here is so incredibly important. Like, and that's one thing that a lot of men aren't doing. They aren't actually wondering what women want out of relationships anymore. They're only presenting themselves in ways that may get them a lot of attention from women, but they're not presenting themselves in ways that will keep a woman around long term, and not just around, but actually fulfilled and happy with them as a man, to the point where she wants to stay in the relationship and stay in the marriage and everything. And she's actually a devoted woman to him. There's a lot of men who don't know how to navigate a relationship in that sense. And that is a big issue with a lot of women. They don't they don't want to deal with men who can't do anything past looking good and making money. I mean, who that's not the basis of a relationship. So that's why, like, in the manosphere and in other male-centered spaces, when I like hearing the tactics and the advice, is crazy. It's genuinely crazy. It's there's no way the men are going to be able to sustain a long-term relationship with an overwhelming majority of the stuff they tell each other here online. Skills deficits. For men, this means a relationship skills gap that, if not addressed, will likely lead to fewer dating opportunities, less patience for poor communication skills, and longer periods of being single. The problem for men is that emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long term love. Emotional connection is the lifeblood of healthy long term love. Exactly. Emotional connection requires all the skills that families are still not consistently teaching their young boys. While there's probably no chance of stemming the rising tide of unintentional single men, there is still good news. The algorithms are becoming increasingly more complex on dating apps and other online platforms. One benefit is that great matches are on the rise. Hinge, one dating app, found through beta trials that 90% of users rated their first date positively, with 72% indicating wanting a second date. How can men reap the benefit of the algorithms? Level up your mental health game. That means getting into some individual therapy to address your skills gap. It means valuing your own internal world and respecting your ideas enough to communicate them effectively. It means seeing intimacy, romance, and emotional connection as worthy of your time and effort. Ultimately, we have an opportunity to revolutionize romantic relationships and establish new healthy norms, starting with the first date. So, hold on, I'm going to pause right there and just go back to this last sentence. It means seeing intimacy, romance, emotional connection as worthy of your time and effort. You do not understand how many men out there refuse to even spend time with a woman unless he's guaranteed to get some sex from her. And that is the problem right there with men dating and why they're so lonely and single. They see women as objects and things to be bought. But this isn't news. Women have always been presented in society as property in a sense. So, not being able to just throughout the centuries, out the hundreds of years, women were seen as property. But we do have to acknowledge that once society started stepping out of that, so within the last 100 years, and marriage was became more so about falling in love and maintaining a relationship with women, those men, at least within these past 100 years, at least 100 years ago, they didn't objectify women as much as men today. They really didn't. But to also be fair, women 100 years ago, they weren't presenting themselves as much in the same ways that women are today, um in terms of, like, the sex and stuff like that that's out there. Women were wearing dresses and skirts down to their ankles, okay? Like, let's just keep it real. So, that's kind of just the truth of the matter. And they weren't objectifying, but you still had things that pop up. Like, you had the Playboy era, you even had Girls Gone Wild. That was all started by, those all came about, and nude photos and stuff like that. Those were all in the 60s, and people were still married. Men were still getting married, and being able to have long-term relationships with women, even the ones that were in the spotlight and being very sexual, they still were able to find a man and be married. Men still didn't see women as objects even back then, and they were stepping out of the women are property phase as well at the same time. So, oh, I got an email, sorry. So, this is very important because just in general today, got a phone call. Just in general today, there are a lot of men that see women as objects, that don't want to spend time with women unless sex is involved at some point, and at some point soon, right? If you're not doing that, then they don't want to spend time with you. And this doctor is quite literally saying that you need to actually care about women past the sex if you want one to stay around you and actually enjoy being with you for the rest of your life. You actually have to care. You actually have to think about romance, the emotional connection, and the intimacy. And ladies, this is why, like, I personally believe the longer that you can wait when you meet a man to sleep with him, the better. Now, I'm a Christian, so obviously I'm going to say if you can wait until marriage and just be abstinent, that's perfect. But I know for all of us, it's not that way. We're all different. We all have different needs, and we all just in general have different perspectives. But just the longer you can make a man wait, if you can, the better for the emotional connection and for him to really see you. And I know there's this TikTok I was watching um the other day. I'm going to try to find it to show it to you guys, but it was a girl and she was actually talking about what men experience with this phase that they go through called post nut clarity. And I've definitely heard of it before. And it's just this, phase or whatever happens that after a man has sex with you, then he can finally start to see you, quote unquote. And he actually figures out if he likes you or not after he has sex with you. And the men claim this is really a thing for them. They really figure it out that after they sleep with you, it's kind of like they snap out of it and they will figure out, oh, I actually do want to spend more time with her and I've already slept with her and all of that. So I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not here to say men don't feel what they feel. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, if they're out here saying they can only really see a woman or their perspective changes after sex, then that's what it is. But I still think that you should wait to have sex. Just because men are saying that they are able to figure out if they really want to spend time with you after they've had sex with you, that doesn't mean you have sex with them ASAP, because they still don't know you. But what I will also say, and this is what other men have just told me in general, is that even if they've had sex and they're not feeling a girl, it's usually not because you had sex with them. It's because they just simply, there's other things about you that they may not like, that they don't connect with. But since you're still around and they still have access to you, they'll still sleep with you, but that doesn't mean that they'll like you. So I know there's a lot of women who do have some traumas based off of sex, who have had sex too soon and gave it up when the guy wanted it, and time after time the man left, And so they have a trauma developed with, oh, if I have sex with this guy, he's going to leave me. And I don't want anyone to think like that regarding anything, not just sex. Don't even think like, if I do this, he's going to leave. If I do this, he'll think this. Please just be yourself, but also have standards and boundaries, and also do what makes you comfortable. So if first of all, if you know you have a trauma, I wouldn't even suggest you date. I suggest you seek some therapy. But if you have healed that trauma, or you are currently healing that trauma, and you want to set up a boundary that you don't sleep with a man until you're married, or you don't sleep with a man until you have a strong commitment and a strong emotional connection, and that will come with a whole bunch of other things that are done before then. You stick to that. You seriously stick to that. I don't I I don't think maybe we should have a conversation on this particular topic of sex and when to do it and things like that, but I don't really I mean, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on having that conversation, because you can do it whenever you want at the end of the day. But if you're really seeking a true relationship, just this doctor is saying that sex should not be the focus. It's about the romance, the intimacy, and the emotional connection that men need to be focusing on. And as a woman, you can, I don't want to say help a man focus on that, but you have control in that area, because you're the one who gives the consent. So if you wait and you also develop a relationship with this man, a connection, intimacy, and experience romantic experiences with him, it will also help you as well to really figure out if you even want this man, if you like him, if you see yourself with him long term, if you see him as a man you can call on when you need some help, if you see him as a potential protector and provider for you and the children in the future. You need time to think about that. That's not something that you typically figure out after like one date, usually. Like, that's something that you need time. It takes time to get to know people. So I would suggest waiting as long as you possibly can. You know what I mean? And it's just really, really important. Okay, so I'm just going to continue on. It's likely that some of these romances will be transformative in healing, disrupting generational trauma, and establishing a fresh culture of admiration and validation. Men have a key role in this transformation, but only if they go all in. It's going to take that kind of commitment to themselves, to their own mental health, to the kind of love they want to generate in this world. Will we step up? So that was the end of the article. It is on Psychology Today, The Rise of Lonely Single Men, written by this psychologist, this male psychologist who was a psychologist in the military, and then he branched off and started his own couples therapy. And this is what he's had to say. And he also mentioned he has a TikTok dating show where he talks to women, every week, of all ages. So what do you guys think about this? This was a lot. But I don't believe a lot of this information is anything that's too new. I mean, the writing is on the wall with these men on these podcasts and just dating. If you've had certain dating experiences, I am actively dating. Like I said, I'm currently on Bumble. Um, so I can tell there's just a lot of guys they are not really trying to have a connection. They can put that they want a kid, that they want a relationship, and blah, 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 all that they want. But at the end of the day, they do not really want to be around um, a woman unless sex is on the table, and soon. They don't want to really buy you dinner and all that other stuff. Like, it's kind of like, wow, like, and it's not really my experience. I'm having positive dating experiences, but from other friends, I hear their experiences, and just online in general. A lot of these guys don't want to hang out with women unless they're going to sleep with you, and very, very soon. So, and then if you don't, they're over it. Like, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want anything. So there's already like this blanket devaluation of women that men have in the first place, so that when they enter into the dating market, they're entering already not seeing women worth their time outside of the bedroom, which is why they're trying to get the most out of you for the least amount of effort. There was actually a picture, not a picture, but let me see, a photo. I don't know if you guys saw it. It got posted a few places. It pretty much went viral, but a newly married couple, black couple, black man and a black woman, he got married and he posted his like wedding picture, and he said in his picture that he didn't take his woman out to dinner at all while they were dating. They just hung out and had a good time, and you know, then he ended up getting married to her. And the the tweets were just wow. All of these women were like, "Why are you bragging about the fact that you didn't have to take your woman out to a fancy restaurant, that you didn't really have to do anything um to get her, and that the fact that you didn't have to do a lot of things is exactly what made you want to marry her? Like, why is that a flex?" And that's how it kind of is. Like with some guys, they don't care to put any effort into dating. They just want the most of you for the very least. And they don't understand that the most of you will literally change your life forever. Here it is. I found it. Hold on. Let me show you guys this really quick on my Instagram. And this is the dating market for men. And that's something that this man in this article is trying to address. He's trying to tell men that your relationships aren't going to last if you only see women as sex objects. And, for dating apps in particular, you definitely can meet a good person and have a long lasting, fulfilling relationship off of a dating app. I know plenty of people that have met, fell in love, and are currently happily married and met on a dating app. But there is a lot of men on there that don't want that. Like they are more so interested in sleeping with you or getting you for your time, but like never having to do anything for your time. They don't want to spend any money. And guys, this is all races. Like this isn't just black men. Well, this particular story I'm showing y'all right now is a black man and his wife. So if y'all can see this, it says Black Twitter reacts to the husband's captions on his wedding pic with his wife on Instagram. Met on Hinge. The rest is history. No pressure to take her on any fancy dates or to expensive restaurants. Just good old conversations and alignment with our goals. Look what the ladies had to say. God forbid a man post me online to tell the world he got me at a discount. Why would he purposelessly do the bare minimum? Why would he want to not do his best? Why would she accept it? Why? Facts. Facts. And this is how a lot of men are entering the dating market. They're entering in wanting to do the very least and get the most. This is actually what they're telling each other here online as well. They're telling men to not even take a woman out until you have commitment, like no fun activities that involve you spending money on her until you guys are already committed. But it's like then they want you to have sex and all these other things and do all that stuff and basically be the girlfriend pretty much and call them and all this stuff while they get to do nothing in order for you to prove that you really like him. This is what they're expecting. But why wouldn't he want to take her on a fancy date? Fancy dates aren't a bad thing. They are lazy and cheap and don't want to spend money on women. They want the most they can get for the least amount of money and effort. He literally could have just left out that one sentence. Why do you want to tell people that you paid her dust? And she accepted it. Letting us know the relationship was based on alignment would have been beautiful and more than enough information. But no. Oh God. He hates her. Free her from this homosexual adoption, Lord. Nothing but conversations in alignment with our goals. Blessed Father. I can't. He stood her up twice. Wow. So I guess there was a whole article on this story. He stood her up twice, ate KFC in the parking lot, moved in with her after 6 months, and his homeboy bought the engagement ring. That woman is clearly around because she genuinely wants him. So, again, while there was no need for fancy dates, he doesn't want to just because. After a first date at Popeyes, marriage was on the menu. Sharhia Wade was ready to forget about Stevenson Boyce, whom she met on Hinge because he twice canceled their first date. But soon after a third successful attempt, she was ready to marry him. Child, girl, why is this going on? Oh my God. Are you serious? So the man who posted this stood up his new wife twice in a row. She was about to forget him. And then the third attempt was successful at Popeyes. Popeyes. And I guess the whole dating experience, there was no pressure. He didn't take her anywhere fancy or anywhere nice. And that is what made him propose to her. And that is what I'm telling y'all. These men want to believe that you will accept the dust of the dust as proof that you like him for him. You know what? This is actually very feminine. If this is a very feminine man, because men aren't supposed to receive love this way. I know they think that they do, but they're not. Men receive love by respect and ultimately some form of like submission or trust from their woman, and women receive love by actual, like, romance, being honored, cherished. Like when your man is able to make you feel like you're the only girl in the world, that is usually like, for a lot of women and for majority of women, our anatomy on receiving love is based off of that. But and then it's based off of us being loved for who we are as an individual woman. Men are loved also as individuals, but it's shown differently. It's not shown the same way. You're not really supposed to be showing love, especially in the beginning, guys. Especially in the beginning. You're not supposed to be showing your genuine interest for a man in the beginning by accepting him no matter what. That's not how it's supposed to go when you're dating. When you're dating, the man is actually supposed to be impressing you, putting his best foot forward. And this is traditional dating standards. Traditional dating standards dictate that men are supposed to impress you, put their best foot forward to impress you because you are the woman. You are the one who is going to birth his legacy. You are the one who's going to be the nurturer of his home. You are the one that's going to turn a house into his home. And so he needs to impress you and show you that he is the man that can provide you with that house, that he is the man that you can trust with your life because he will protect you. He is the man that you can lean on when you're in your most vulnerable state, aka when you're like pregnant and even postpartum. You're very vulnerable in that part of your life. And the man is supposed to prove that he can be there for you. It's not supposed to be the other way around. A woman is not supposed to put on her muscle box or her muscle jacket or whatever and prove that she can be down for him even when he has nothing. Because men are biologically and even physically wired to work harder, longer, and all that stuff than women. So if you're going to make the woman have to get into that role to prove something to you, it's completely backwards. It is not traditional whatsoever. You are masculinizing your woman when you do that. When you make her believe that she needs to handle dust and be the one to hold you down in order to impress you and keep you. It's just the truth. It's not supposed to go like that, ladies. Remember, if you at least believe in traditional values or trying to at least maintain being a feminine woman, you have to understand that that comes with a role as well. And if you are choosing to participate in that role with your future man, you are the one who's vulnerable. He is the one that has to put in the work. Period. I don't care what these men say. These men can bring up anything in the world. It's not natural for a woman to act like this, to accept little and to have nothing to really go off of to prove that this man is the man. Like, what is she going to tell? What is this woman going to tell like her friends? Why do you want to be with this man? What did he do for you that proves that he's such a strong protector and provider? And what would she say? Oh, well, he just told me he can, and we went to Popeyes. Like, no, the answer should be something along the lines of what he's been doing for you that is meaningful. So my parents, obviously, they're black. They've been married for over 35 years. And so I've asked my dad, like, what are some ways you were able to prove to mom that you can be a protector and a provider um, in the dating stages? And he told me that first of all, he started off with just being, the consistent, romantic flowers and things like that. But things that he did for my mom, like my mom was actually still living at home at that time. My mom was still living with my grandmother. She didn't have her own place, but my grandmother has, a big backyard and everything. And so my dad would go over there and mow the lawn for my mom and my grandma, and he would do manly things that are meaningful. Like, no, it wasn't, like he was spending a bunch of money because my parents were very young. They didn't have a lot of money, but he actually did things. So if the lawn needed mowing, he'd come over and mow it. If there was a leak, he'd come over and fix it. Like, he would at least do something. Even if he didn't have money, he would do something that was manly to prove that he can be like the man of the house and take care of things at least. But my dad said if he had a lot of money, he would have did it all. Like, he would have did the most, because he believes that's how a man is supposed to date traditionally. It's supposed to be doing something to prove to you that he can be there for you. These men today want to do exactly what this guy did: talk their way into alignment, values, and morals, and have that be the proof that they can take care of you. And I'm telling you right now, that's not proof. That's not proof. And this woman is so desperate. I'm sorry. She's probably a sweet woman, especially to deal with all this. She's probably very sweet, but she is desperate, because who deals with this? Popeyes as a first date? Oh, hell no to the no. Hell to the no. Okay, there's two types of women. There's women who will accept Popeyes, and then there's women who won't even text the dude back if he invites her to Popeyes. Okay, I'm in that second group. Okay, I'm that second group that's not even going to respond to you, because what the heck do I look like? I don't even eat fast food. That's just number one. That's disgusting. So don't look. I know you ladies watching me would not even fall for this, so I'm not even gonna. We, after being in these spaces, we all should know better at this point. Like, but this is why spaces like this are important, to hopefully reach more women that may have this mindset, and reach them before they go ahead and make these mistakes and settle for this type of stuff. And you can say whatever, well, at least she got the ring, at least she's married. But what did it cost her? Like, she had to like give up her role as a woman, at her feminine role. She was in the masculine role the entire time. She probably still is, because that's their foundation. She's probably the masculine woman in the marriage, dealing with a man child. She's quite literally like the mammy. I'm sorry. She's the mammy in this marriage. Girl, tuh. People in the replies missing the point of why this caption sucks. LOL. It's not bad that she's low maintenance or that he enjoys that, but why is that the first quality of hers that he want to highlight? Not one that celebrates her as an individual, but one that allows him to do less. So I totally understand this. There are women who just simply aren't into the fine dining and expensive, dates and stuff like that. And that's fine. You don't. But I just gave the example of my parents. My mom is kind of that woman. She doesn't care to be out in the fancy lights, but my dad still stepped up and proved himself as a man to like do something to prove to her that that he is a man that she can see herself with long term, that he is that guy. And something at least like that has to happen. And this particular man, and like so many other men on here, are highlighting their desire for a woman who just doesn't require anything but talks, lots of walks, and freaking, I don't know, movie nights, Netflix in today's modern time. Like that is not how a good relationship is going to be built. And if men want to try to change the game and say that they're only going to propose to a woman who doesn't require them to do anything, they're going to be single and lonely. Mhm. Like the article says, a lot more of them. They're going to need to find more desperate women like this one. But with messages that are all over the BW space and just in general of women, desperate women like that are definitely hard to come by. Clearly, which is why the men are on here complaining in the first place. What's wrong with that? If they both got what they wanted, it's not for me, but I'm not knocking it or using it as a blueprint. If they get If they both got what they wanted and they're happy, then congratulations to them. Yeah, honestly, congratulations to them. I mean, I feel bad for this woman because of what she probably didn't know and she thought was okay. That's what I feel bad for. Her lack of knowledge. And this man just talking his way into her everything without having to really um do much. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. I'm also going to drop the link. I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. So I'm going to drop the link. I want to hear from you guys and what you have to say about this entire topic on loneliness and just anything else that was said so far. Let me see what else you guys are saying on here. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. Sounds like she was desperate for a husband. Absolutely. I mean, that is the truth. She was very desperate for a husband. Maybe she is on in these spaces, but maybe she's on the manosphere side and she's listening to all these messages and that's why she accepted what she accepted, and she's probably thinking about her age and maybe she believes she's a lot older, so she needs to just deal with anything, which is something that they say, by the way, that if you're an older woman, if you're over the age of 30, if you've hit the wall, then you should just be putting up with anything. You should drop the panties ASAP. What man is going to put in effort for a 30-year-old, right? Like all types of crazy things. Just chit-chatting to get women to not accept anything. And it's breeding women, desperate women for weak men. Havana says being a single woman is drama free and stress free life. You know what? To be honest, there is that is very true. It's actually even in the Bible for you ladies who are Christian. Apostle Paul chose a life of singleness, and he said that being single is better because you basically have more time to serve God and do other things for yourself. But it also says if you have a desire for a mate, you find yourself lusting a lot, then you probably should find a mate and be married. But if you find yourself chilling, not thinking about nobody, You see a good looking guy, but he ain't, he ain't doing it for you. Like, you're good, then singleness can be for you. It literally says that and is described that way in the Bible from the scriptures that I've read. That being single, yes, it is drama free and stress free. That is absolutely correct. That there's no denying that. Cleo says, yeah, I don't do the shacking up thing either. Living together with no marriage, black men will run black women and preference through the mud with that. Yeah, absolutely. I don't do that either. I don't think I would ever live with a man before I'm married. The only man I want to live with is my husband. If anything, I would maybe live with a fiance, but that's in the terms of me like moving in type of stuff and getting things set up type of living. And that would probably be like 30 days before the wedding. Like, even then, I mean, my parents didn't live together. They didn't even, I mean, they also didn't have their own place, but they were engaged and everything, living apart in each other's mama's house. So so to me, I don't think I wouldn't um move in with a man. I just think, cuz it's kind of like what is there to look forward to? And then on top of that, you guys should be committing to each other because you love each other, because you want to, because of the qualities you guys have as individuals. Living together shouldn't teach you. I mean, I know that saying, you don't know someone until you live with them. I just, I don't really agree. I mean, I don't think that needs to be something that happens in the dating process for marriage, right? I don't. You shouldn't be marrying each other based off of how you guys live. You should marry each other based off of values, how you feel, stuff like that, how things went in the dating. And then when you guys get married, you move in and you can very well create a new way of living now that you guys are together. Like if you did laundry every weekend and he only wants to do it, I don't know, during the week or something. I don't know. Like you guys can create a whole new system. So that's easy. I don't see why you need to live with someone for stuff like that. I just feel like if you live with your man, it's like a new way to find other excuses to not make the relationship work. And then the excuses are very petty, like little stupid stuff that can annoy you. Like maybe the toilet seat doesn't come down, little stuff like that that really aren't what you would say is a good enough reason to like end a relationship, but they can trigger you being annoyed. And if you're constantly annoyed around your man, that could end the relationship. And it's just unnecessary. And when you're married, it's a it's like the ultimate form of commitment. So there's more there's more of a natural like effort to make things work and to figure it out because, you committed your life to this person. So it's like you have more of a incentive to develop a good life together. Like compared to when you're not married, y'all can just leave and then that's it. It's just not. I wouldn't recommend it. Guy needs doll said, I'm still stuck on he moved in after 6 months. I don't do the shacking up thing. I guess if he didn't marry her, he would be homeless. Right. Right. I don't this woman she was very desperate, very sweet, I'm sure, but very desperate because who the heck? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's the only type of story that I can think of that would help men no longer be lonely. If women just let go of all standards and all of the things that you would want and that you desire, you let it all go to make this weak, cheap, dusty man comfortable. That's the only way I think that men could solve their singleness, but that's not realistic. Okay, majority of women are not going to drop their standards, their boundaries, their needs, their desires just to make a man believe that he's truly and genuinely liked. That's just not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It doesn't have to happen. We don't even have a system in place where women have to do those things, right? Like the topic of high value men and how you need to compete for these guys because um they're in the top, industries or whatever, lawyers, doctors or whatever. Those types of guys, they're valuable as in their role and their job, but women can do those jobs too. That's what I'm saying. Like for you to be traditional, it's a choice. There's really not that much competition if there aren't a lot of traditional women. And technically there aren't. Technically women want to work. Technically women don't care to be married at 21. Technically women are making their own money and don't need to be dependent on a man for anything. So if you want a man who is a provider and you want to be a traditional woman and have a traditional relationship, and then the men are claiming that they want the same, there isn't much competition. Sorry, just is what it is. And like I said, this is all a choice. Women choose what they want to do, and not a lot of women are choosing traditional relationships. Just is what it is. If she hadn't given him an ultimatum before the third date, he would have flaked again. Yes. I would never try to go on a new date with a guy that flaked on me. I mean, I would just respectfully tell him just no. I don't know. There's just no need. Like you don't even know the guy. Why are you trying to, like why are you trying to make it work so much? Like seriously? Plenty of men in the sea. Obviously, according to this article, there's plenty of single men. So there really is no incentive for you to stay with one guy who's flaky and trying to do the most. Um, to test your limits or whatever. No necessary need at all. Tabitha says they want you to like them for nothing, but they will still demand your sex and labor at the drop of a hat. Just saying. Exactly. Exactly, Tabitha. That is literally that is what I hear constantly. That is what I'm even seeing through their actions. The men don't want to do things for women to impress you in any way to prove that they are that trustworthy guy. In one of my lives, I didn't leave it up. It was pretty late at night, but in one of my lives, um in my last live, I believe. I didn't leave it up though, but I gave a story time of one of my dates, and he was a 50-50 guy. And he told me just flat out that he doesn't want to buy a woman a meal because he doesn't believe that he's getting a good return on that investment. And so I asked him, "What is this return that you're speaking of?" Obviously, I'm not dumb. I knew in my head it was sex, but I wanted to hear him say it. I wanted to see if he was really going to basically say, indirectly say that women are only useful of my full resources um, for sex. I wanted to hear him say it, and he didn't really say it like I wanted him to. But what he did say is, well, let's just say that I just have guys that did nothing and girls just slept with them. And so I just was like, okay, so the return is obviously sex. And you don't want to spend any money on a woman unless you know for sure she's giving you sex, right? And then he said, well, just in general, I'm 50-50. So I was like, oh, okay. So even if she is giving you sex, time, attention, that's still not good enough. And he just believed that in his dealings with women, he needs to not only get a return, but continue to get it as at a discount. And then he told me he was a feminist, and I was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. you know. And then the date was over. But I didn't even know that until I asked him those questions. If I would have asked him earlier, I definitely wouldn't have even went out on that date. But yes, it's just the truth. They want you to like them for nothing at all. Nothing at all. And they will still demand the sex and the labor. while still doing the bare minimum, or at least being allowed to do the bare minimum whenever they want, right? And there was another video I watched, and one of these gurus was saying that the woman should just give it up, ASAP. And then when it comes to a relationship, you should just hope, or maybe you know, leave it up to the man to decide if there should be commitment long term, right? Like you're giving it up, so you're obviously, in a way, if you're giving up your body, you should keep in mind that you could risk getting pregnant, you can risk possibly STD. And just in general, when women have sex, we tend to get a little bit more attached to a man when we have sex. So giving up your body is already a sign that you're willing to continue on with this man. It is a form for a woman. It can be, not all women, but it can be a sign of a form of like a commitment type of thing when you're having sex with a man. If you're very selective, the time you finally do give it up to a guy, it's a chance that you would want to do it again, especially if you enjoyed it, right? But on the guy side, he can just leave, or he doesn't have to give you a commitment. Nothing. You have to just hope he wants to initiate the relationship. So it's 100% guarantee on the woman's end for the guy to get what he wants, but complete question mark, up in the air, babble wabble on the man's end for what the woman would desire, which is commitment. That's how the men want to navigate the dating space. No guarantees on their end, but you as a woman have to guarantee sex, time, support, all of that, submission, respect, everything. And the guy, I'll commit to you if I want. I'll marry when I'm ready. Like you don't get any guarantee from him. The men already don't want to even take you out to dinner. Can't even get that. So this is what's all contributing to these guys being single and lonely. Because what woman in her right mind wants to deal with that, especially a woman who is very content within her life, providing for herself, right? Why deal with that? And there, I don't know if you guys saw that clip of Tracy Ellis Ross. I think she was in an interview. I think it was with Kevin Hart, I believe. She was talking to somebody. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Hart, but he asked her about her relationship status. And she told him flat out that she would love to have a relationship. She's never been the type to really actively look for a man. But she said that in order for her to get with someone seriously, he needs to be offering her something better than she's already offering herself. Just being around her as a man with a penis is not enough. It's never enough. It never has really been enough. Women just had to deal with it in the past because they couldn't, because of certain rights in the system, but it was never really enough. Ever. These guys want to make it enough, and then they want to bring up women in the past, like this is what women dealt with back then. Yeah, because they had to. It was the law. The laws like that today don't exist. So no woman's going to just automatically act like she's oppressed in a society where she can kind of do whatever she wants to do. And then you want her to act that way just to get a man? That's insane. It has to be a choice for whatever lifestyle a woman wants to have. I choose to have a traditional lifestyle. I choose to have a lifestyle where I'm channeling my femininity and I just choose to step into my femininity. But there are women who don't want to do that. There are women who have lifestyles and careers that they have to be a little bit more masculine. There's women who are studying to be rocket scientists. I actually have a girlfriend. She's from Taiwan, and she's literally studying to be a rocket scientist. She's getting her PhD in like, I don't know, some crazy scientific field. She's like insanely smart, and she's so adventurous. She goes rock climbing and she hikes mountains, and I mean hike mountains, guys, like where she's up on the mountain for like a few days hiking with like a group of hikers type of thing. Like she needs a permit and everything to hike certain places. Like she's like professional with it. And so I wouldn't say she's the most masculine woman, but she's definitely, she channels more masculine traits to do the things that she wants and chooses to do. And it works for her. She's very, very happy. And she does not care to have a man. She has amazing friends and she's fine. She's getting her PhD, like, and she's an amazing person to be around as well. Like, she does what she wants. She has dating experiences and things like that, but it's not on the top of her list. And she's about the same age. I think she's in her late 20s. She's Asian, like, from a foreign country. So please, like, no woman really has to deal with what these guys are claiming to give, which is nothing. No woman has to deal with that. And that's why they're single. And it's really affecting them because, as we know, men are better off in a relationship versus women, where the research is showing that women are actually better off single and on their own. And I'm traditional, I'm pro marriage, of course, but I do value my space. Absolutely. I love my little soft life that I've created for myself. Like, I'm very happy with it. I'm also going to be happy when I have my husband and my kids, but I am definitely enjoying my season of singleness. I am not sitting in it miserable. I'm also not closed off either. I'm, like I said, I'm actively dating, but I'm totally just enjoying my single season. I'm enjoying getting to know men and talking to different guys and experiences, because once you do marry and once you do have kids, especially, your single season, the way it is currently, is going to be gone. Like, you're never going to have a single season while you've never been married, while you're never had kids before again. Like, once you choose to marry, even if you get divorced, you still was married before. You still have those experiences in your life which are important. But you're the season that you were in where you never had anything, just you and you alone. That this is it. So you better just enjoy it as much as you can, and learn from it and learn from the rest of those seasons. If you get married, I hope no one has to get divorced that's listening, but if you went through a divorce, that that season of marriage that you were in, and now this new an evolved season of singleness, which is a season of singleness that happened after your marriage, which is still different than before your marriage, because you have certain knowledge and skills and experiences once again. So enjoy every moment. That's really just all I'm saying. And I'm definitely enjoying mine. Enjoying my single season. I'm enjoying getting to know men. I'm not putting myself out there in crazy situations either. And you don't have to do that to enjoy yourself. And it's working for me. I'm looking forward to the future. But women are happy when they're at peace, period. At peace on your own. I do believe you can have peace with a man. You can have peace with your children, with your family, but women in general love peace. And if our current reality is that a lot of women just so happen to find that peace without a man, that just is the reality. And I don't think that it should be shamed whatsoever. I think if men want to be involved in the peaceful life, they need to work on how to be more peaceful themselves, because them being single, lonely, and bitter is chaotic. That breeds chaotic results and a chaotic lifestyle for them. That breeds confusion. That single, lonely, bitter lifestyle these men have, that breeds confusion. That breeds, just a horrible spirit, and no one wants to be around that. That's not cute. It's not attractive. It repels good, peaceful women, and it only really attracts desperate women, to be honest. It does. Havana said that I think it's better for an engaged couple to live in their own place, to look at a place to move in together after they get married. Absolutely. This is how yeah, this is basically what I plan to do. Absolutely. Like, I will not, I really wouldn't want to move into a man's place. I'd love for us to get our own place together, to have our own house, but just for sure, no moving in while we're not married. Like, no. Cleo says, yeah, because I hate how women will get shamed if single, but still shamed if not single. Like at this point, just do you and live for you. Yes, exactly. Just do you, live for you, find spaces and communities that support the season that you're in, or, you want to get involved in communities that embody what you plan to be, what you're striving to be, right? Like, I'm not married, I'm not a wife, I'm not like a stay at home wife, but I still have women on here that are stay at home wives that I follow, that I love to listen to, and that I love to see all the things they share about their life. I still want to be involved in that because I do want to have that for myself someday. And I don't see a problem with that. So just do what makes you happy, whatever you have planned that you want to happen for yourself in the future. Stick to it, evolve it, change it if you may need to, but whatever you need to do for yourself is the most important. And I think women are really starting to understand that. I mean, it's an unfortunate result for the men that they are now lonely and single, but it is definitely an indication that women are not dealing with any crazy stuff anymore. They're just not. So it just is what it is. And if, like I said, if men want to be involved in this, in a change, to get them partnered, they've got to focus on things outside of sex, outside of attracting all these options for women, and really deep dive into their emotional health so that they can sustain a relationship. Because men, like I've said before on my channel plenty of times, men don't seek emotional support from each other. They really only get that from the woman they have in their life. Us as women, we can get emotional support from each other. It's really not anything for you to meet a group of girls, you guys get deep and someone starts crying, and then we all start encouraging each other. Like, that's not a big deal. That happens with girls all the times at sleepovers and all types of things. It's not a big deal. But men don't do that. They don't get together and get so vulnerable that they start crying. Like, that's not their thing. They need a woman in their life for that emotional support, which contributes to their overall emotional well being, which contributes to how they are, how they're able to show up in the world, in general. So it is what it is. But all right, ladies, this is all I wanted to say for this live. I will leave this up. So if you're catching the replay, make sure to like the video and turn on the notification bell so you guys don't miss it when I go live. Let's continue this conversation below in the comments if there's any more you ladies want to add about the rise of lonely single men, and if women are happier single or married. I think that women are happier when they are at peace. And and in our current reality, that stage looks like a stage of singleness for a lot of women. They are happier single right now because the state of men at this time is just not it. It's not it. And that is why so many of them are becoming lonely. So until the men change, it's really up to them. Women can't do anything to change a man. I would not suggest any woman get involved in the business of changing a man. Period. So until next time, ladies, I will talk to you guys later. Make sure to like the video. Bye.